Will you be my daughter's mother? Dying millionaire with 1 month left asks SHY Waitress. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. Imagine being in the shoes of a young, shy waitress working long hours, trying to make ends meet. Now picture being approached by someone, not just any customer, but a man who has everything. Or so it seems. This is the reality for Jennifer Thompson, a woman who has spent her days working in a quiet diner in the heart of New York City. Jennifer's life is nothing extraordinary. She wakes up early, dresses in her simple uniform, and heads to the diner for another long shift. She never expected her life to take such a dramatic turn. One evening, as she was serving at a table, a man walked in. His tailored suit, sharp features, and confident stride immediately set him apart from the usual crowd. He was a billionaire, Jack Anderson, the CEO of one of the largest tech firms in the country. She had heard of him before, his name was in the news frequently, but she had never imagined she would meet him in person. As Jennifer approached his table to take his order, she noticed something about him. There was an air of sadness behind his sharp eyes, a vulnerability he tried to hide. Jack seemed to be the typical businessman, focused on his meal, checking his phone, and speaking in short, clipped sentences. But something about the way he looked at her was different. He wasn't just another high-powered CEO who saw her as nothing more than a waitress. There was something deeper in his gaze, something that made Jennifer feel like he saw her for who she truly was, not just the woman in the uniform. As the evening wore on, Jennifer found herself wondering about this man. Why was he here? Why was someone like him eating alone in a small diner when he could easily have dined at one of the finest restaurants in the city? But as fate would have it, their worlds would collide in a way that neither of them could have anticipated. As Jennifer brought Jack his meal, he suddenly looked up, catching her off guard. "I need your help," he said quietly. Jennifer blinked, confused. "Help?" she asked, still holding the plate in her hands. "Yes, I need you to do something for me." His words were direct, but there was something desperate in them that made Jennifer pause. Jack continued, "I'm dying. I only have 1 month left to live, and I need someone to take care of my daughter." Jennifer's heart skipped a beat. Dying. 1 month. She had heard rumors, of course, but to hear it from his own lips was something else entirely. Jack paused, studying her face as if looking for some sort of reaction. "I know this may sound strange," he said, "but I need you to be the mother my daughter never had. Will you be her mother?" Jennifer could hardly process what he was asking. A dying billionaire was asking her, a simple waitress, to step into a role she never imagined she would have to play. The thought of it overwhelmed her. How could she possibly say yes? What did he expect from her? And yet, the sincerity in his voice tugged at her heart. Jack Anderson was not just some cold-hearted businessman. He was a father who, in his final days, was seeking someone to take care of the daughter he loved. His request wasn't just about filling an empty space. It was about ensuring that his daughter would be loved, cared for, and protected, even when he was gone. But Jennifer was not ready for this. She couldn't just jump into something so life-changing. Could she? Jennifer stood there, frozen, the weight of Jack Anderson's words hanging in the air. He was dying. He had only 1 month left to live, and in his final days, he was asking her, a waitress at a small diner, to step into a role that no one could ever prepare for. To be a mother to his daughter, to become the person his child would rely on after he was gone. Her mind raced, trying to process what he had just said, trying to make sense of the impossible request. She had been serving him his meal just moments ago, a simple, routine task that had now turned into something that felt like it could change her life forever. As she stood there, staring at Jack, she could see the desperation in his eyes. He wasn't just asking her as a businessman, someone used to getting what he wanted. He was asking her as a father, a man who knew he was running out of time and wanted to ensure that his daughter was taken care of. Jennifer didn't know what to say. How could she say yes? She had never imagined her life could take a turn like this. She wasn't a mother. She wasn't equipped to care for a child, let alone the child of a billionaire who had everything. But there was something in Jack's voice, something in the way he looked at her, that made her want to say yes. It was as if, in that moment, he saw something in her that she didn't even see in herself. His words hung in the air, and Jennifer felt a lump form in her throat. "I can't," she whispered, almost to herself. "I don't even know where to begin. I'm just a waitress. How can I be her mother?" Jack didn't say anything for a moment, just watched her, his face softening as if he understood the struggle that was going on inside her. "You don't have to be her mother in the traditional sense," he said, his voice low and steady. "I just need someone who will love her, protect her, and give her a chance to have the family she deserves. That's all I'm asking." Jennifer's heart beat faster. He wasn't asking for perfection. He wasn't asking her to become someone she wasn't. He was just asking for someone to care. She thought about it for a moment, imagining what it would be like to step into that role, to take on a child who needed someone to guide her through the hardest part of her life. But Jennifer knew her life wasn't simple. She had her own struggles, her own dreams that seemed so far out of reach. She wasn't ready for this. She wasn't prepared for the responsibility of raising someone else's child. "I don't know how to do this," Jennifer said, her voice cracking slightly. "I don't have the resources. I don't have the support." Jack stood up from his seat, slowly, as if the weight of his own words was beginning to settle on his shoulders. "I know this isn't easy," he said, "but I wouldn't be asking if I didn't think you were capable. I've seen something in you, Jennifer. I know you have the heart for it, and I'll do whatever it takes to help you. I can't leave my daughter alone in this world." He took a deep breath, looking out the window for a moment before returning his gaze to her. "I can make sure you have everything you need. I'll set up a trust for her education. I'll give you the financial stability to raise her without worrying about money. All I'm asking is for you to be there for her." Jennifer felt her breath catch. The offer was too much to ignore. He was giving her the chance to change her life, to step into something that could be meaningful, something that could make a difference. But was she ready? Was she strong enough to take on the responsibility of being a mother, even if it wasn't in the way she had imagined? She thought about his daughter. She thought about the little girl who had lost so much and was now in desperate need of someone to love her. The thought of leaving her without someone, just because she wasn't ready, seemed impossible. The responsibility weighed heavily on Jennifer's heart, but as she looked at Jack, something inside her began to shift. Maybe she didn't need to have everything figured out. Maybe she just needed to take a leap of faith. "Okay," she said, her voice quiet but steady. "I'll do it. I'll be there for her." Jack's face softened, his expression a mixture of relief and gratitude. He stepped forward and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Thank you," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "You have no idea how much this means to me." Jennifer nodded, her heart pounding in her chest. She wasn't sure what the future held, but she knew one thing. Her life was about to change, and she was going to do everything in her power to give Jack's daughter the love and care she deserved. As the days went by, Jennifer started to visit Jack's mansion. She spent time with his daughter, Emma, learning about her, getting to know the little girl who had lost so much. At first, Emma was hesitant. She didn't understand why Jennifer was there, why this stranger was trying to take the place of her mother. But over time, Jennifer proved herself to be a steady presence in Emma's life. She listened to her, comforted her when she was sad, and reassured her that she would never leave. They formed a bond, slowly but surely, and with every passing day, Jennifer began to feel more and more like Emma's mother. The months passed, and Jack's health continued to decline. But as the days went on, Jennifer began to realize something she hadn't expected. This role, this responsibility, was something she could do. She was capable. She was strong. And most importantly, she had love to give. She was ready to be a mother, even if it was not in the traditional sense. And when Jack passed away, Jennifer was there, holding Emma's hand, just as she had promised. Together, they faced the future, a future that was filled with love, even in the face of loss. I have to admit, Jennifer was not prepared for the next chapter of her life. The responsibility she had agreed to take on was unlike anything she had ever experienced. Being a mother to a child who had lost both her parents was no small task, especially when the child in question was the daughter of a billionaire. At first, Emma had been distant, unsure of the new woman in her life, a woman who had appeared so suddenly, claiming to be there for her when she had already lost so much. Jennifer could not blame her. The transition had been hard on both of them, but as the days went by, Jennifer began to notice small changes. Emma's eyes, once filled with sadness and hesitation, began to soften. She was still guarded, but slowly, Jennifer's presence began to fill the space where doubt had once resided. Jennifer had never been a mother before, and she wasn't sure what she was doing. But she did know one thing. She loved Emma, and that love would drive her to do whatever it took to make Emma feel safe and cherished. Every evening, Jennifer would tuck Emma into bed, brushing a strand of hair away from her face and kissing her forehead. Sometimes they would talk about Jack. Sometimes they would sit in silence, the weight of their shared grief lingering in the air. But each day brought them closer, and Jennifer felt herself becoming more comfortable in this new role, even though she knew it was far from traditional. The house, once full of laughter and love, now felt empty without Jack's presence. His absence was undeniable, but Jennifer pushed forward for Emma. She had to. She had promised Jack, after all. As Jennifer navigated through her new life, she began to notice the changes in herself as well. She was no longer the shy waitress who had only cared about getting through the next shift. She had become something more. She had become a protector, a mother, and she was determined to fulfill that role to the best of her ability. One day, as Jennifer was sitting in the living room, reviewing some financial documents Jack had left behind, Emma approached her with a question that caught her off guard. "Do you think I'll ever be okay?" she asked, her voice small and unsure. Jennifer looked up from the papers, her heart aching at the vulnerability in Emma's voice. She set the documents down and reached for Emma's hand. "Of course you will," Jennifer said softly. "You have me, and we'll get through this together. You're not alone anymore, Emma." Emma looked up at her, her eyes searching Jennifer's face for any sign of doubt. But all she saw was love, pure and unconditional. And for the first time since her father's passing, Emma believed it. That evening, after they had dinner, they sat outside in the garden, watching the sun set over the city skyline. It was a peaceful moment, one that felt normal, despite everything that had happened. As they sat together, Jennifer couldn't help but think about the road ahead. There were still so many unknowns. She was still learning how to be the mother Emma needed, but for the first time, Jennifer felt a sense of hope. Maybe they could make it work. Maybe they could build a life, not defined by loss, but by the love they had found in each other. Over the following weeks, Jennifer continued to learn more about Jack's company, the businesses he had built, and the legacy he had left behind. The wealth Jack had accumulated was vast, but Jennifer realized it wasn't the money that mattered. It was the people he had helped, the lives he had touched. He had left a legacy of kindness, not just of wealth. And now, it was her turn to continue that legacy. One afternoon, as she sat in Jack's office, reading over a proposal for a charity he had started, Emma came in and sat beside her. "What are you doing, Mom?" Emma asked, the words still strange on her lips. Jennifer smiled, her heart swelling at the sound of it. "I'm just trying to figure out how we can help others, just like your dad did," she said softly. Emma nodded, her face lighting up. "Can we help people together?" she asked, her eyes wide with excitement. Jennifer's heart skipped a beat. "Of course we can," she replied, her voice filled with determination. And with that, the two of them set out on a new journey, one that would honor Jack's memory and create a future full of love, hope, and compassion. Jennifer knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was no longer afraid. She had a daughter who needed her, and she would do everything in her power to be the mother Emma deserved. Together, they would build a new life. A life full of promise, where the shadows of the past no longer held them back, and where the love they shared would guide them toward a brighter future. It's been months since Jennifer took on the role of being Emma's mother, and though they had come a long way, there were still moments of doubt. Jennifer was constantly haunted by the fear that she wasn't enough, that she could never truly replace Emma's biological mother. Despite her best efforts, there were days when Emma still seemed distant, still clinging to memories of the past. But Jennifer refused to give up. She had promised Jack that she would be there for his daughter, and that was a promise she would keep, no matter what. It was a chilly Saturday afternoon when Jennifer received a call that would change everything. She had been at the kitchen counter, preparing lunch for Emma, when her phone rang. It was the lawyer handling Jack's estate. "Ms. Thompson, I need you to come in. There's something important we need to discuss." The urgency in the lawyer's voice made Jennifer's heart skip a beat. She quickly finished what she was doing and arranged for a sitter for Emma before making her way to the lawyer's office. As she walked into the sleek, glass-walled building, Jennifer couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to happen that would shake the very foundation of her new life. She was shown into a private office, and the lawyer, a tall man with sharp features, gestured for her to sit. "Thank you for coming," he said, his tone serious. "We have some important matters to discuss regarding Mr. Anderson's estate." Jennifer sat down, trying to steady her nerves. The lawyer opened a file on his desk and began speaking. "As you know, Mr. Anderson left behind a considerable fortune, but his wishes were clear. He wanted his daughter to be taken care of, and he wanted you, Miss Thompson, to manage a portion of his legacy." Jennifer blinked in surprise. "Manage a portion of his legacy?" she repeated. "What do you mean?" The lawyer looked at her over the rim of his glasses. "You are now the trustee of a substantial portion of Mr. Anderson's assets, including several charitable foundations and investments. He believed you had the heart and the intelligence to carry out his vision." Jennifer felt the weight of his words sink in. She had been entrusted with Jack's legacy, a responsibility that went far beyond raising Emma. It was about continuing the work Jack had started, ensuring that his philanthropic efforts would live on. "But I'm not qualified for this," Jennifer said, her voice filled with uncertainty. "I'm just a waitress. I don't know the first thing about managing investments or running charities." The lawyer smiled gently. "That's exactly why Mr. Anderson wanted you. He knew you had the values that mattered, and there will be people to help you. You won't be doing this alone." Jennifer's mind was racing. She had never imagined herself in a position like this, managing millions of dollars and overseeing projects that could change lives. But Jack had trusted her with it. She couldn't let him down. "What do I need to do?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The lawyer handed her a binder full of documents. "Start by reviewing these. They outline Mr. Anderson's wishes for the charitable foundations, as well as a few ongoing projects that need your attention. It's a lot, but I'm confident you can handle it." As Jennifer left the lawyer's office that day, the reality of her situation began to settle in. She was now responsible not only for Emma's future, but also for continuing the work Jack had started. She would need to learn quickly, but she was determined. She had no choice. Her life had changed in ways she could never have imagined, but in that moment, she realized something important. She was capable. She was ready for this challenge, and she wasn't going to let fear hold her back. Later that evening, Jennifer sat down with Emma. She looked at the little girl, who had become the center of her world, and smiled. "I have something important to tell you," Jennifer said softly. "Your dad left me something, a big responsibility. But it's something that I'm going to do for him, for you, and for all the people he cared about." Emma looked up at her with wide eyes, sensing that this was a turning point. "What do you mean, Mom?" she asked. Jennifer took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. "Your dad started a lot of things, Emma. And now it's up to me to make sure they continue. I'm going to be helping people, just like he did. And you're going to be right there with me." Emma smiled shyly, her trust in Jennifer growing stronger every day. Jennifer felt a sense of pride swell in her chest. She wasn't just Emma's mother. She was now a leader, someone who could make a real difference. As she looked at Emma, she realized that this was the new life they would build together, one not just defined by loss, but by love, hope, and a commitment to a brighter future. The following weeks were a whirlwind. Jennifer threw herself into learning about Jack's business ventures, his charity work, and the vision he had for the future. She was determined to honor his memory and do what was right for Emma. It wasn't easy, but every time she looked at Emma's face, she knew she was doing the right thing. She wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. And as she began to navigate the complexities of managing Jack's legacy, Jennifer started to realize that she wasn't just doing this for Emma or Jack. She was doing it for herself too. She had found a purpose she never thought she would have. And for the first time in a long time, she felt truly fulfilled. As Jennifer began to settle into her new life, the reality of managing Jack's legacy and the responsibility of raising Emma weighed heavily on her. She had learned quickly about the complexities of the charitable foundations Jack had established, but despite her best efforts, there were still moments when she felt overwhelmed. Balancing Emma's needs with the demands of running Jack's businesses and charity work was no easy task. One evening, as Jennifer sat in the office reviewing the latest financial statements, Emma came in quietly and stood by her side. Jennifer looked up from the papers, her tired eyes meeting Emma's. "What's on your mind, sweetie?" she asked, putting the papers aside for a moment to focus on Emma. Emma hesitated, looking down at the floor. "I don't want you to be sad, Mom," she said softly. Jennifer smiled and reached out to hold Emma's hand. "I'm not sad, sweetheart," Jennifer reassured her. "I'm just thinking about everything we have to do. But I promise you, I'm okay." Emma still looked unsure, so Jennifer leaned down and gently lifted her chin to meet her eyes. "You know, you've been so strong through all of this. I couldn't do it without you," Jennifer said, her voice filled with emotion. Emma's face brightened, a small smile tugging at her lips. "You've been doing really great, Mom. I'm proud of you." Jennifer's heart swelled with pride. She had always known that her bond with Emma was strong, but hearing her daughter say those words meant everything. Jennifer had worked hard to prove to herself that she could be the mother Emma needed, and in that moment, she realized she had made incredible progress. The following week, Jennifer found herself at a crossroads. One of the key charity projects that Jack had been passionate about, a program for underprivileged children, was facing severe financial struggles. Jennifer knew it was essential to keep the project running, but the money wasn't there. After reviewing the finances, Jennifer realized that without a substantial influx of funds, they would have to close the program. She felt a wave of frustration and doubt wash over her. How could she let Jack down? How could she look at Emma and explain that one of Jack's most beloved projects might not survive? As Jennifer sat in her office, trying to figure out a solution, her phone rang. It was the lawyer again. "Miss Thompson, we've just received a generous donation from a new investor. They're interested in funding Jack's charity projects, but there's a catch. They want you to meet with them." Jennifer was hesitant. Another donor? She had heard of investors wanting to be involved, but she was wary of the conditions that often came with such offers. "Who is this investor?" Jennifer asked, her tone cautious. "It's a new venture capital firm. They're particularly interested in continuing Jack's vision for helping disadvantaged children. They have the funds to keep everything running, but they need to meet with you to discuss the future." Jennifer hesitated, unsure if this was the right path. On one hand, the financial stability for Jack's charity was a lifeline, but on the other, she didn't want to compromise the integrity of the project. She remembered Jack's words about keeping the vision alive, about helping those who truly needed it. After a moment's pause, Jennifer decided to take the meeting. She owed it to Jack, to Emma, and to the children who depended on the charity. The next day, Jennifer met with the investors in a sleek office building in downtown Manhattan. She had dressed carefully, knowing that this was a pivotal moment. As she entered the conference room, she was greeted by a group of well-dressed men and women who seemed eager to make a deal. One man, in particular, caught her attention. His sharp suit and confident demeanor made it clear he was the one in charge. "Ms. Thompson," he said, offering her a handshake. "It's a pleasure to meet you. We've heard a lot about your work and your commitment to continuing Jack's vision. We believe we can help take it to the next level." Jennifer nodded, but she didn't trust the smile on his face. "I'm here to ensure that Jack's legacy is preserved," she said, keeping her voice steady. "But I need to be clear. This charity is not just a business venture. It's about helping children. I won't let it become just another profit-driven project." The man smiled, but there was something calculating in his eyes. "Of course," he said smoothly. "We share your commitment to the cause. But to keep this charity running, we need to ensure it's financially sustainable. We're prepared to make a significant investment. However, we have some conditions." Jennifer's heart sank. There was always a catch. She braced herself. "What conditions?" The man leaned forward. "We want you to expand the charity, but with our oversight. We'll take a controlling interest in the operations, but we will ensure that the charity stays true to its mission. We'll provide the resources you need, but we'll need to have a say in how the money is spent." Jennifer felt her stomach twist. She had known this was coming. "I need some time to think about it," she said, standing up. "I'll get back to you after I've had a chance to review everything." She left the meeting, her mind spinning. She couldn't let Jack's vision be compromised. But was she ready to turn down the funds that could save the charity? She walked through the city streets, the weight of the decision pressing down on her. The choice wasn't easy. But as she thought about Emma and the children who depended on Jack's work, Jennifer knew that she had to make the right call, one that would honor Jack's legacy and preserve the heart of the charity. The decision was hers, and no one could make it but her. It's been a week since Jennifer walked out of that meeting with the investors. and the weight of the decision she had to make was still heavy on her shoulders. The charity was at a crossroads. Without the investment, it would likely shut down, and all the work Jack had started would be for nothing. But if she accepted their offer, she would have to give up some control and compromise on her vision. Could she live with that? She didn't know. Jennifer had spent countless hours thinking it through, weighing the pros and cons. The decision was not easy, but she had made it. She couldn't let fear or doubt hold her back from doing what was best for Emma and for the legacy Jack had left behind. That evening, as Jennifer sat on the couch, lost in her thoughts, Emma came into the room. Her face was serious, her small hands fidgeting with the hem of her sweater. "Mom," Emma said softly, "are you okay? You've been looking sad lately." Jennifer looked at Emma, her heart aching. She knew Emma had noticed the stress. She had been trying so hard to keep up appearances to shield Emma from the pressure she was under. But Emma was no fool. She could sense that something was wrong. "I'm fine, sweetheart," Jennifer replied, forcing a smile. "Just a lot on my mind." Emma climbed up next to her on the couch, wrapping her small arms around Jennifer's waist. "I know you're trying hard," Emma said, her voice small but sincere. "But you don't have to do it all alone. We're a team, remember?" Jennifer's eyes softened as she looked at Emma. She hadn't realized just how much Emma had grown, how much she had become her anchor in all of this. "You're right," Jennifer said, her voice cracking slightly. "I can't do it alone. I need you too." Emma smiled up at her, her eyes bright with the innocence of a child who believed in the power of love. "I'll always be here for you, Mom," she said. Jennifer's heart swelled with gratitude. Despite everything they had been through, despite the pain and the loss, Emma was still here, still loving her unconditionally. It was the one thing that kept Jennifer going. The next morning, Jennifer made the call to the investors. She had made her decision. She was going to accept their offer, but she was going to make sure that the charity's mission remained intact. She would find a way to balance the business side of things with the core values Jack had instilled in the organization. It wouldn't be easy, but Jennifer was ready to fight for what was right. She arranged to meet with the investors again, this time in a smaller conference room. As she walked into the room, she could feel the tension in the air. The investors were already seated, their faces serious, waiting for her response. "Ms. Thompson," the lead investor said, standing as she entered. "We're glad you could make it. We're eager to move forward with this partnership." Jennifer nodded, her mind focused and clear. "I've thought a lot about your proposal," she began, her voice steady, "and I'm willing to move forward with it. But there are some conditions I need to set in place." The investors exchanged glances, their expressions curious but not surprised. "What kind of conditions?" the lead investor asked, sitting back down. Jennifer took a deep breath. "First, I want to make sure that the charity's mission stays true to Jack's vision. We can expand, but not at the expense of the people we're here to help. Second, I want to maintain control over how the funds are distributed. I'll work with your team, but I need to ensure that every dollar is used to make a real difference." The investors nodded, considering her words carefully. Jennifer knew this wasn't going to be easy, but it was a step in the right direction. She wasn't willing to let Jack's legacy be overshadowed by greed. She wasn't willing to let the charity become just another business. "We can agree to that," the lead investor said after a pause. "We want to make sure this works, and we're willing to give you the control you need to make it happen." Jennifer felt a sense of relief wash over her. This was it. She had found a way to move forward without compromising what mattered most. "Thank you," Jennifer said, her voice soft but filled with determination. "I won't let you down." The next few months were a blur of meetings, phone calls, and decisions. Jennifer worked tirelessly to ensure that Jack's legacy lived on. With the investment secured, the charity was able to expand its reach, helping more children and families in need. Jennifer made sure that the funds were used wisely, ensuring that the projects Jack had started continued to thrive. As the charity grew, so did Jennifer's confidence. She was no longer just a waitress, no longer just a woman trying to make ends meet. She had become a leader, someone who could make a real difference. And through it all, Emma was by her side. They had become a team, just as Emma had promised. Together, they faced the future, their bond stronger than ever. The road ahead was still uncertain, but Jennifer knew one thing for sure. She was no longer afraid. She had found her purpose, and she was going to do whatever it took to honor Jack's memory and give Emma the future she deserved. Months had passed since Jennifer made the decision to move forward with the investment, and the charity had started to thrive. The programs were growing, reaching more children in need, and Jack's legacy was being honored in ways she had only dreamed of. But despite all the progress, Jennifer still couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. She had always thought that taking care of Emma and continuing Jack's work would fill the void left by his passing. But there were moments when she felt overwhelmed by the weight of it all. Emma, on the other hand, seemed to be adjusting better than Jennifer could have hoped for. She was thriving in school, making friends, and growing into the young woman Jennifer knew she could be. Yet, there were still moments when Emma seemed distant, especially when the topic of Jack came up. Jennifer knew Emma was still grieving, still trying to process the loss of her father. But no matter how hard Jennifer tried, there were times when she felt like she wasn't enough. One evening, as they sat in the living room together, Jennifer couldn't help but notice the silence that had settled between them. Emma was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, while Jennifer stared at the family photos on the wall. It had been a long day, but Jennifer felt the need to talk. "Emma," Jennifer said, breaking the silence. "I know you're still thinking about your dad, and I know it's not easy for you." Emma didn't look up from her phone, but her fingers stopped moving for a moment. "I miss him," she said quietly. "I know you do," Jennifer replied softly. "I miss him too, but I want you to know that I'm here for you, no matter what. And I know you're still figuring things out, but we'll get through this together." Emma put her phone down and looked up at Jennifer, her eyes filled with something that Jennifer couldn't quite place. "I know you're trying your best, Mom," Emma said, her voice thick with emotion. "But sometimes, I just want things to be like they used to be, when everything felt normal." Jennifer's heart broke at her words. She could see the pain in Emma's eyes, and she knew that no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't replace the loss of Jack. She wasn't his real mother, after all, but what she had come to realize was that it didn't matter. What mattered was the love they had for each other and the life they were building together. "I understand," Jennifer said gently. "I really do. But I want you to know that I'm here for you. You don't have to be okay right now. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to miss him. But just know that I'm not going anywhere. We're in this together." Emma looked at Jennifer, her eyes searching hers for a moment, before she nodded. "Okay," she said softly. Jennifer smiled, reaching out to hug her. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't easy, but it was real. The love between them was real, and that was what mattered. The next day, Jennifer decided to take Emma on a trip. She had been so focused on the charity, on keeping everything running smoothly, that she had forgotten how important it was to take time for themselves. So, she booked a weekend getaway to a small cabin in the mountains. It was quiet, peaceful, and exactly what they both needed. As they arrived at the cabin, Emma's eyes lit up with excitement. "This is amazing," she said, running around the yard, taking in the fresh air. Jennifer smiled, watching her. It was rare to see Emma so carefree, and it made her heart swell with hope. The weekend was spent hiking, cooking together, and enjoying each other's company. They talked about Jack, about their memories of him, and about what the future would look like. Emma asked questions about her dad that Jennifer didn't always have answers to, but she did her best to help Emma process her emotions. The trip allowed them both to heal in ways they hadn't realized they needed. By the time they returned home, there was a shift in the air. Emma seemed lighter, more at peace. Jennifer could tell that the trip had helped her, and in turn, it had helped Jennifer. For the first time in a long time, Jennifer felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The weight of the past wasn't gone, but it no longer felt like it was holding her down. There was still work to be done, both with the charity and with Emma, but Jennifer was ready for it. She had found strength she never knew she had, and more importantly, she had found a new purpose in life. The next few weeks were a blur of activity. Jennifer continued to focus on the charity, ensuring that everything was running smoothly. She worked with the investors to ensure that the integrity of the charity was upheld, and she even began to explore new projects that Jack had once dreamed of. She could see his vision coming to life, and it filled her with pride. As for Emma, she had blossomed into the young woman Jennifer knew she could be. She was excelling in school, making friends, and slowly learning to embrace her new life. There were still hard days, but Jennifer could see that Emma was healing, bit by bit. Together, they were building something beautiful, a new life, built on love, trust, and the legacy of a man who had cared deeply about others. Jennifer knew they would face challenges ahead, but for the first time, she was confident that they could handle anything. They had each other, and that was all they needed. The weeks following their trip to the cabin were some of the busiest Jennifer had ever experienced. The charity was thriving, and with each passing day, the projects Jack had set in motion grew stronger. Jennifer found herself more involved than ever, working tirelessly to ensure everything ran smoothly. But despite her growing success in managing Jack's legacy, there was still one thing weighing heavily on her mind: the promise she had made to Emma. She had promised her that they would face the future together, and for the first time, Jennifer wondered if she was truly keeping that promise. It wasn't that Emma was struggling. Quite the opposite. Emma had become more confident, more outgoing. But Jennifer could sense that her daughter was still holding something back, a part of her that she hadn't fully embraced. One evening, as they were sitting at the dinner table, Jennifer looked across at Emma, who was poking at her food, lost in thought. Jennifer had been meaning to talk to her for days, but the right moment never seemed to come. Tonight, though, it felt different. There was something in the air that made Jennifer feel like this was the night to have that conversation. Emma, Jennifer began softly, setting her fork down. I know things have been crazy lately. With the charity, with everything going on, I want you to know that no matter what happens, I'm here for you. Emma looked up, her eyes softening, but she didn't say anything right away. Jennifer hesitated, wondering how to bring up what had been weighing on her. You've been so strong through all of this, Jennifer continued. But I want you to know that it's okay if you're not. Always okay. We've both been through a lot, and it's okay to feel lost sometimes. Emma's expression flickered for a moment, and she finally put her fork down, looking directly at Jennifer. I'm fine, Emma said quietly, but Jennifer could hear the hesitation in her voice. Are you sure? Jennifer asked gently. You don't have to keep things bottled up. You know you can talk to me about anything. For a long moment, Emma was silent. Then, finally, she spoke. I don't know how to move on. I know I should be grateful for everything we have now, but sometimes I feel like I'm betraying Dad by being happy. Jennifer's heart ached as she listened to Emma's words. She had known that Emma was still struggling with Jack's death, but hearing her speak so openly about it broke Jennifer's heart. Sweetheart, Jennifer said softly, reaching across the table to take Emma's hand. Loving and moving forward doesn't mean you're betraying your dad. He would want you to be happy, to live the life you deserve. And I want that for you too. Emma squeezed Jennifer's hand tightly. I just don't know if I can let go of the past. I feel like I'm forgetting him if I start looking ahead. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't let them fall. You will never forget him, Emma. He will always be a part of you, and a part of me, too. But moving forward, living your life, that's how you honor his memory. That's what he would want. Emma nodded slowly, the weight of Jennifer's words settling in her heart. I guess I never really thought of it that way, she whispered. Jennifer smiled, a weight lifting from her shoulders. We'll do it together, she said, her voice filled with love and determination. We'll keep Dad's memory alive, and we'll keep moving forward, step by step. The conversation marked a turning point for both of them. Jennifer realized that she had been so focused on making everything perfect, on keeping the charity running smoothly, that she had neglected the emotional connection she and Emma still needed to build. That night, after dinner, they sat on the couch together, watching an old movie they had both loved when Jack was alive. As the credits rolled, Emma leaned her head on Jennifer's shoulder, and for the first time in a long while, Jennifer felt a sense of peace. They were both healing in their own ways. The next few weeks brought more change. Emma began to open up more, sharing her thoughts and feelings with Jennifer without hesitation. They spent more time together, going for walks in the park, talking about their hopes and dreams. They even started a new tradition. Every Sunday, they would visit Jack's favorite spots around the city, honoring his memory in their own way. Jennifer began to feel like they were finally creating their own version of a family, one that was built on love, respect, and the strength to face whatever challenges came their way. As for the charity, it continued to grow. Jennifer worked closely with the investors to ensure that Jack's vision remained intact, but she also made sure that Emma had a say in the projects they funded. It was important to Jennifer that Emma felt involved, that she knew she was part of something bigger than themselves. Together, they would ensure that Jack's legacy lived on, and that the children who had benefited from his generosity would continue to be helped long into the future. One evening, As they sat in the living room, Jennifer looked at Emma, who was busy with her homework. For the first time in a long time, Jennifer felt a sense of calm. They had made it through the hardest part. They had found their way back to each other, and they were stronger for it. The future was uncertain, but Jennifer knew that as long as they had each other, they could face anything. She had never expected her life to take the path it had, but now, with Emma by her side, she knew it was the path she was meant to walk. It had been a few months since Jennifer and Emma had fully embraced their new life together. The charity was thriving, their bond stronger than ever, and Emma was beginning to show signs of true healing. They had found their rhythm, and Jennifer finally felt like she was truly fulfilling her promise to Jack. But just as things seemed to settle into a new normal, life had a way of throwing another curveball their way. It all started with a letter. Jennifer was in the kitchen one morning, preparing breakfast for herself and Emma, when the mailman dropped off a large envelope. It was addressed to her in elegant handwriting, but the sender's name was unfamiliar. Her curiosity piqued. Jennifer opened the envelope carefully. Inside was a letter from one of Jack's old business partners, someone Jennifer had never heard of. As she read through the letter, she felt her stomach tighten. The letter detailed a major investment opportunity, a lucrative deal that could significantly expand the charity's impact. But there was a catch. The partner wanted full control of the charity in exchange for the investment. Jack had made it clear that his vision for the charity was one of independence, and Jennifer had worked tirelessly to ensure it stayed true to that vision. But now, it seemed that someone wanted to take that vision and twist it for their own gain. Jennifer knew she had to make a decision, and quickly. Should she pursue this opportunity to secure more funding for the charity, or should she refuse it to protect the organization's independence and Jack's legacy? The weight of the decision was overwhelming. After reading the letter over and over again, Jennifer realized she couldn't just make this choice on her own. She needed to talk to someone who understood the gravity of the situation. She needed Emma. Later that evening, as they sat together in the living room, Jennifer shared the letter with Emma. "I've been offered a major investment for the charity," Jennifer began, her voice steady but filled with concern. "But there's a catch. The investor wants control over how the charity operates. I don't know if I should accept it or not." Emma listened carefully, her eyes fixed on the letter. She was older now, and Jennifer had come to rely on her wisdom more than she ever thought possible. "What do you think Dad would have done?" Emma asked quietly, her voice full of sincerity. Jennifer looked at her daughter, taken aback by the question. She had been so focused on the business side of things, on the potential funding, that she hadn't stopped to think about what Jack would have wanted in this exact moment. He would have fought for the charity to stay true to its mission, Jennifer said softly, more to herself than to Emma. He believed in helping people, not controlling them. Emma nodded thoughtfully. "Then maybe you should fight for it, too." The words hit Jennifer harder than she expected. Emma was right. Jack had always believed in the charity's independence, in its ability to make a difference without the strings attached. Jennifer had made a promise to him, to honor his memory, and now she realized that the most important thing she could do was protect the vision he had fought so hard to create. The next morning, Jennifer made up her mind. She would turn down the offer and find another way to secure the charity's future, one that didn't compromise its integrity. But as she prepared to send her response, she received an unexpected phone call. It was from one of Jack's old colleagues, a man who had worked with him on several large-scale projects. "Jennifer," the man said, his voice urgent, "I've been hearing about this investment offer you're considering. And I need to warn you, it's not what it seems. This investor has a reputation for taking over businesses and turning them into something completely different. If you accept their offer, you'll lose control of everything you've built." Jennifer's heart sank. She had suspected something wasn't right, but hearing it confirmed made it all the more real. She thanked the man for his warning and immediately drafted her response to decline the offer. The decision was made, and as difficult as it was, Jennifer felt a sense of relief wash over her. She had done the right thing. The days that followed were filled with reflection. Jennifer continued her work with the charity, focusing on growing it in a way that remained true to Jack's vision. Emma was right by her side, supporting her every step of the way. As the months passed, Jennifer realized that the challenges she faced weren't just about keeping the charity afloat. They were about staying true to herself, to the values she believed in. It wasn't about the money. It was about the people they were helping and the legacy they were building. One afternoon, As Jennifer and Emma walked through the park, hand in hand, Emma turned to her mother with a smile. "Mom," she said, "I think Dad would be really proud of you." Jennifer's heart swelled with emotion. "Thank you, sweetie," she replied, her voice filled with gratitude. "And I'm proud of you, too." Together, they had overcome so much. The road ahead was still uncertain, but Jennifer knew that as long as they had each other, they could face whatever came their way. They had found their strength, not just in their love for Jack, but in their love for each other. And that, Jennifer realized, was more than enough to build a future they could both be proud of. The months that followed were marked by both progress and growing pains. Jennifer continued to pour her heart into the charity, expanding its reach and deepening its impact. But as successful as the charity had become, there were moments when Jennifer questioned if she was truly doing enough for Emma. They had come a long way, but Emma still seemed to carry the weight of her father's loss, and Jennifer couldn't help but feel that there was more she could do to help her daughter heal. One evening, as they sat in the living room together, Emma broke the silence. "Mom," she began, her voice soft, "I've been thinking about Dad a lot lately." Jennifer felt her heart tighten at the mention of Jack. She had always known that Emma was still grieving, but she hadn't expected her daughter to bring it up so openly. "I know you miss him," Jennifer said gently, "but it's okay to move forward too. You don't have to forget him to be happy." Emma looked at her, her eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and confusion. "I just don't know how to do both," she admitted. "I don't want to let go of him, but I also don't want to be stuck in the past." Jennifer reached for Emma's hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "You don't have to do it alone," she said. "We can figure this out together." Over the next few weeks, Jennifer made a conscious effort to connect with Emma on a deeper level. She encouraged her to talk about her father, but also to embrace the future, to allow herself to experience joy again. They spent more time together, going to the movies, hiking in the nearby park, and even taking day trips to places Jack had loved. It wasn't about replacing the past, but about building new memories. Slowly but surely, Emma began to open up more. She started talking about her dreams for the future and what she wanted to accomplish. Jennifer could see the spark in her eyes again, the spark she had seen when they first started their journey together. But just when it seemed like things were falling into place, a new challenge emerged. The charity, despite its success, was facing pressure from external forces. Some of Jack's former business partners, people who had supported the charity in its early stages, were beginning to question its direction. They wanted more control, more influence over how the funds were distributed. Jennifer knew that she couldn't let them take over the organization Jack had worked so hard to build. She had to stand her ground, but this time, it wasn't just about her. It was about Emma too. The pressure to maintain control of the charity weighed heavily on Jennifer, but she knew that if she didn't take a stand, everything Jack had created could be lost. The board meetings became more tense, and Jennifer found herself questioning the motives of those around her. She couldn't understand why they couldn't see that the heart of the charity was its mission, not the money or the power. One afternoon, after a particularly difficult meeting, Jennifer sat down with Emma. She needed to talk, to release the burden that had been building inside her. "I'm really struggling, Emma," Jennifer admitted, her voice shaking slightly. "I've been doing everything I can to keep this charity going, but there are people who want to take control of it. I can't let that happen, but I don't know how much longer I can keep fighting." Emma sat quietly beside her, her hand resting on Jennifer's. "I don't know what to say, Mom," Emma said softly, "but I know you're doing the right thing. Dad would have wanted you to keep fighting for this, for the people who need it." Jennifer looked at Emma, her heart swelling with pride. She had always known that Emma was strong, but in that moment, she realized just how much her daughter had grown. Emma had become the rock Jennifer needed, just as Jennifer had been for her. Together, they were a team, and Jennifer knew that with Emma by her side, they could face whatever came their way. The next few days were filled with long hours and tense negotiations. Jennifer met with the investors and the board, making it clear that she would not allow the charity to be compromised. She fought with everything she had, refusing to give up on Jack's vision. And finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the board agreed to her terms. The charity would remain under her control, and the focus would stay on helping those in need. It wasn't a victory without sacrifices, but Jennifer felt a sense of relief wash over her. She had done it. She had preserved Jack's legacy, and in doing so, she had also given Emma the chance to live a life that was full of promise. As the months passed, Jennifer's relationship with Emma deepened. They were no longer just a mother and daughter. They were partners, facing the world together. Emma had found her passion for helping others, and Jennifer had found a renewed sense of purpose. They both knew the road ahead would still be full of challenges, but as long as they had each other, they would always find a way forward. One evening, as they stood on the balcony of their home, looking out over the city, Emma turned to Jennifer with a smile. "I'm proud of you, Mom," she said. "I don't think you hear it enough, but I really am." Jennifer looked at her daughter, tears welling up in her eyes. "Thank you, Emma. You're the reason I keep going." And with that, Jennifer knew that, no matter what the future held, they were ready. They had each other, and together, they could accomplish anything. As time passed, Jennifer began to realize that the fight for Jack's legacy was not over. Despite securing control of the charity and ensuring its continued success, there was still the matter of Emma's future. Jennifer had promised Jack she would take care of his daughter, but in the process, she had forgotten to focus on the most important thing, helping Emma build her own life. Emma had grown in so many ways, but there was still an underlying sadness that Jennifer could not ignore. It wasn't that Emma wasn't doing well. She was thriving in many areas. She was excelling in school, making new friends, and showing more confidence than ever before. But deep down, Jennifer could tell that Emma was still struggling with the idea of moving forward without her father. Jennifer knew she needed to have another conversation with Emma, one that would help her truly move forward, one that would let her know that it was okay to embrace her future without feeling guilty. One evening, as they were sitting on the porch watching the sunset, Jennifer decided to broach the subject. "Emma," she began softly, "I've been thinking a lot about everything lately, about what you're going through, and how much I want to help you move forward." Emma turned to her, her expression thoughtful, but a little guarded. "I'm okay, Mom," she said, her voice quieter than usual. "I know you are," Jennifer replied, reaching out to take her hand. "But I don't think you've really let go of what happened. And I think that's okay. But I also think it's time for you to start living the life you deserve." Emma looked away, her eyes misting over with emotion. "I just don't know how to do that," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I feel like if I let go, I'll forget Dad. And I don't want to do that." Jennifer gently cupped Emma's face in her hands, lifting her chin so their eyes met. "You won't forget him," Jennifer said firmly. "I promise you. He will always be a part of you, and a part of me. But you can still move forward. You can still build your own life, and your father would want that for you." Emma took a deep breath, her eyes searching Jennifer's face. "You really think it's okay?" she whispered. "That I can be happy again, without feeling like I'm betraying him?" Jennifer smiled, her heart full of love for this brave young woman in front of her. "Yes," she said softly. "It's okay. And you deserve to be happy." For the first time in a long while, Emma smiled back. It wasn't a big smile, but it was a smile that reached her eyes, and for Jennifer, that was enough. The next few weeks brought a new sense of clarity for both of them. Jennifer had focused so much on keeping the charity running and honoring Jack's legacy that she had forgotten to focus on the bond between her and Emma. Now, with their new understanding, they were able to rebuild their relationship on a stronger foundation. Emma started to talk more about her hopes for the future, her dreams, and what she wanted to accomplish. She even began to consider college options, something Jennifer hadn't thought to bring up. As the months went by, Emma's sadness slowly began to fade, replaced by a newfound sense of hope. She was no longer living in the shadow of her father's death. Instead, she was starting to build a life of her own. Jennifer couldn't help but feel a sense of pride as she watched Emma take these steps. She knew that Jack would be proud of her too. He would have wanted Emma to be strong, to embrace the future with open arms. But the real turning point came one afternoon, when Emma came home from school with an announcement. "Mom, I've been thinking a lot," she said, her voice filled with excitement. "I want to start volunteering at the charity. I want to help other kids, like the ones we've helped." Jennifer felt a rush of emotions. She had never pushed Emma to get involved with the charity, but to see her daughter wanting to give back in this way made Jennifer realize just how far they had come. "That's a wonderful idea, Emma," Jennifer said, her voice filled with pride. "You'll make a huge difference." Over the next few weeks, Emma began volunteering at the charity, working with the younger children, helping with fundraising events, and offering her support wherever it was needed. Jennifer could see the joy it brought her. Emma was finally beginning to find her purpose, just as Jennifer had found hers in managing the charity. They had both discovered that life could move forward, that it was possible to honor the past while creating something new. But as much as the charity had become a part of their lives, Jennifer realized that it was not the only thing they needed. They had each other, and that bond was stronger than anything else. It was the foundation that everything else had been built on. As the seasons changed and time continued to pass, Jennifer and Emma continued to grow together. The pain of the past was still there, but it no longer held them back. They had found a way to heal, to build a future that honored Jack's memory while allowing them both to move forward. Jennifer knew there would be more challenges ahead, but she also knew that no matter what happened, they could face it together. With Emma by her side, Jennifer was ready for whatever the future held. Months had passed since Emma had started volunteering at the charity, and Jennifer could see how much it was helping her daughter grow. Emma had found a sense of purpose that she had been missing for so long, and Jennifer felt proud of the young woman she was becoming. But with every new step forward, Jennifer found herself facing new challenges. Managing the charity was still a massive responsibility, and the constant pressure to ensure that everything ran smoothly weighed on her. There were days when it felt like she was stretched too thin, caught between the charity's needs and Emma's growth. Despite these struggles, Jennifer knew she was doing the right thing. The charity was thriving, and Emma was healing, but Jennifer couldn't help but feel like there was something more they needed, a deeper sense of stability, a clearer path forward. One evening, as they sat together at dinner, Emma brought up something that Jennifer had not expected. "Mom," Emma said, hesitating slightly, "I've been thinking about my future, about what I want to do after high school, and I think I want to go away to college." Jennifer looked up, surprised. She hadn't anticipated Emma wanting to leave so soon. It felt like just yesterday that she was still struggling with Jack's death, and now Emma was talking about her future in such an exciting, confident way. "That's great, sweetie," Jennifer said, her voice filled with emotion. "I think it's an amazing idea, but I also know it's a big decision. Have you thought about where you want to go?" Emma smiled, but there was a hint of uncertainty in her eyes. "I've been looking at a few schools, and I think I want to go to a college that has a strong program in social work. I want to help people, like we've been doing with the charity." Jennifer's heart swelled with pride. She had always known that Emma had a heart for helping others, but hearing her express it so clearly made her realize just how far Emma had come. "You've always had such a kind heart, Emma," Jennifer said softly, "and I think you would be amazing at it. I'm so proud of you." But even as she said the words, Jennifer couldn't help but feel a twinge of sadness. Emma was growing up. She was becoming the person Jennifer had always hoped she would be, strong, independent, and driven. But that meant Jennifer would have to let go, just a little bit. It was a bittersweet realization. The thought of Emma leaving home one day, starting her own journey, filled Jennifer with a mix of pride and fear. She wasn't ready to let go, not completely. "Mom," Emma said, breaking through Jennifer's thoughts, "I don't want you to worry. I'll still be here. I'll always be part of this, no matter where I go." Jennifer smiled, but the words caught in her throat. "I know, sweetheart. I know." Over the next few weeks, Jennifer and Emma worked together to look at colleges, finding the right fit for Emma's goals. It was a bittersweet process for Jennifer, seeing how much Emma was ready to spread her wings. Jennifer realized that while Emma was moving on, she would always be there for her, just as she had always promised Jack she would be. But Emma wasn't the only one growing. Jennifer had changed too. She was no longer the shy waitress who had walked into Jack's life so many years ago. She had become a leader, not just for the charity, but for Emma as well. She had learned to navigate the complexities of running a large nonprofit, all while balancing her role as a mother. Jennifer knew that her path wasn't always going to be easy, but she also knew that she was ready for whatever came next. She had found strength in herself that she never knew existed. One afternoon, as they sat on the porch together, watching the sunset, Jennifer turned to Emma. "You know, I'm really proud of you," she said softly. "You've come so far, and I've watched you grow into such an incredible young woman." Emma smiled, but her eyes softened with emotion. "Thanks, Mom. I wouldn't be here without you." Jennifer reached over, brushing a stray lock of hair from Emma's face. "And I wouldn't be here without you, either," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "You've made me stronger than I ever thought I could be." The days that followed were filled with more planning, more preparation for Emma's future. The charity continued to flourish, with Jennifer still at the helm, ensuring that Jack's vision was carried forward. Emma's transition to college seemed closer every day, and Jennifer found herself torn between the excitement of Emma's future and the sadness of letting go. It was the natural course of things, Jennifer knew. But that didn't make it any easier. As Jennifer drove Emma to her college orientation, she couldn't help but feel a wave of emotion wash over her. The last few years had been a whirlwind, but they had also been filled with moments of growth, love, and healing. Jennifer had built a life that was full of promise, not just for herself, but for Emma as well. As they pulled up to the campus, Jennifer looked at Emma and smiled. "Are you ready for this?" she asked, her voice full of pride. Emma grinned. "I think so." They hugged each other tightly, and for the first time, Jennifer realized that she was truly ready to let Emma go. She would always be there for her, no matter where life took them. And with that, Jennifer drove away, feeling a sense of peace knowing that both she and Emma had created a future that was bright and full of promise. It had been a year since Emma left for college, and though Jennifer had learned to adjust to the quieter house, there was still a part of her that missed the daily presence of her daughter. She was proud of Emma, of how much she had grown, but the house felt different without her. Still, Jennifer understood that this was part of the natural cycle, and she had been doing her best to move forward. The charity continued to grow, and with the additional support from donors who believed in Jack's vision, Jennifer was able to expand its programs, helping more children and families than ever before. But as the charity flourished, Jennifer realized that there was one part of her life that had remained dormant, her own happiness. She had spent the last few years completely focused on Jack's legacy and on being the best mother she could be for Emma, but somewhere along the way, she had forgotten about herself. It wasn't that she wasn't grateful for everything she had. She was. But Jennifer realized that she needed to reconnect with the woman she was before everything changed. She needed to rediscover the things that brought her joy beyond the charity and motherhood. One Saturday afternoon, Jennifer found herself wandering the streets of the city, something she hadn't done in a long time. She took a deep breath, appreciating the simple act of walking without any particular destination in mind. As she passed a small art gallery, something caught her eye, a beautiful painting of a sunset over the ocean. She paused, staring at the vibrant colors and the peaceful scene. It reminded her of a time before everything changed, a time when she had enjoyed life's small moments without the weight of responsibility. On a whim, she walked into the gallery and struck up a conversation with the curator. It turned out that the artist was having an exhibition the following week. The curator invited her to attend the opening. Jennifer hesitated for a moment, unsure of whether she should take time away from the charity and Emma, but then she realized how important it was to do something for herself. She bought a ticket to the event, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of excitement. The night of the exhibition, Jennifer stood in the gallery, surrounded by vibrant paintings and sculptures, and felt a wave of joy she hadn't experienced in years. It was as if she had rediscovered a part of herself that had been buried beneath the weight of the last few years. As she moved through the exhibit, taking in the artwork and chatting with the other guests, she realized that she was more than just a mother, more than just the head of a charity. She was Jennifer. She was a woman with passions, with dreams, with a life to live. After the event, as she walked back to her car, Jennifer felt a renewed sense of purpose. She knew that she had to continue her work with the charity, but she also knew that she needed to take time for herself, to find joy in the little things again. The next few weeks were a turning point for Jennifer. She began to take more time for herself, attending events, taking walks in the park, and even picking up her old hobby of painting. She had forgotten how much she enjoyed it, but now she found herself painting again in the quiet hours of the evening. Her life was still full of responsibilities, but she had found a balance that worked for her. And when Emma came home for the holidays, Jennifer couldn't wait to tell her all about the changes she had made. When they sat down for dinner, Jennifer smiled at Emma. "I've been doing something for myself," she said. "I've been going to art galleries and even started painting again." Emma's eyes widened. "Really? That's amazing, Mom." Jennifer nodded. "I think it's important to remember who we are, not just what we do for others. We need to take care of ourselves too." Emma smiled warmly, her eyes filled with pride. "I'm so happy to hear that, Mom. You deserve it." Jennifer felt a warmth in her chest, realizing how far they had both come. They had both grown, together and apart, and had found their own paths forward. As the new year began, Jennifer knew there would still be challenges ahead. Running the charity, managing Emma's transition into adulthood, and finding time for herself. It was a lot. But she was ready. She had rediscovered who she was, and with that, she knew she could face whatever came her way. The future was uncertain, but Jennifer was no longer afraid. She had found strength in herself and the love of her daughter, and that was all she needed to keep moving forward. They had each other, and together, they could conquer anything. In this deeply moving story, you will experience a powerful journey of love, loss, and growth. Follow Jennifer as she navigates the challenges of honoring her late partner's legacy while raising her daughter Emma. The touching stories unfold as Jennifer not only takes on the responsibility of running a charity, but also faces the emotional journey of letting go and finding herself again. With the weight of managing a large charity and raising Emma, Jennifer struggles to find a balance, all while ensuring that the vision her late partner had for helping others continues to thrive. As Emma grows, Jennifer also learns how to reconnect with herself, rediscovering passions she thought she had lost. Throughout the touching stories, the bond between Jennifer and Emma strengthens as they face both challenges and triumphs together. This journey is not just about building a successful charity or fulfilling a promise to a loved one, but about learning to live fully and embrace the future while cherishing the past. The story is filled with moments of self-discovery, heartwarming exchanges, and inspiring realizations that life is about more than just surviving. It's about thriving, growing, and making meaningful connections along the way. With each chapter, the touching stories continue to captivate, revealing the resilience of the human spirit, the importance of love, and the strength that can be found in the most unexpected places. Through their journey, Jennifer and Emma teach us that it's never too late to change, to heal, and to embrace a brighter future. These touching stories will leave you inspired and full of hope, proving that even in the face of adversity, we can find the strength to move forward. Don't miss this incredible tale of love, family, and perseverance that will tug at your heartstrings and inspire you to look at life through a more hopeful lens.